Have you ever really stopped to think about what happens after someone calls for help? Today, we're going to dive into how one simple, desperate request for food kicked off this incredible chain reaction. It pulled in everyone from police to specialized clinicians and even a local church to build a life-changing safety net, all from a single phone call.
So this is where it all began, just a simple line in a dispatch log. But for the dispatchers, this wasn't some random call. They actually knew the resident from before. And the request was just so stark, so simple. I need food. But that one little plea, well, it was about to peel back the layers on a much bigger story of someone quietly falling through the cracks.
All right, so the officers get to the scene, and right away they realize this is about way more than just a meal. They saw the limits of what they could do. So instead of just dropping off some food and closing out the call, they made a really critical decision. They escalated it. They called in a team that wasn't built for enforcement, but for intervention. So who'd they call? A team called PATH. And it's really important you get what these folks do. They aren't police officers, they're clinicians. Their whole job is to show up right in the middle of a crisis and basically act as a bridge, connecting someone who's struggling with that whole complex web of social services that can actually help them for the long haul. Okay, so the PATH clinician gets on the case ready to go, but boom, they hit a wall immediately. It's a Saturday, and as a lot of us know, most of the official help, like food pantries, they're pretty much a Monday to Friday operation. So all the obvious, easy solutions are just off the table. The clinician starts digging around and finds a local church that's known to have a food pantry. Sometimes they're even open on weekends. It feels like, okay, here we go, a breakthrough. But when the clinician gets there, nope. The pantry's not open on this particular Saturday. It feels like they've hit another dead end.
And this is where the story just takes an absolutely incredible turn. The official pantry might have been closed, but the community, it wasn't. When people at the church heard what was going on, they didn't just point to a calendar or hand over a phone number. They personally stepped up. They provided a warm, home-cooked Haitian meal, plus other groceries right then and there.
I mean, think about that. This wasn't some government program. It was just people helping people. This is the power of those informal community networks, They fill in the gaps when the official systems just can't. And what's more, the congregation was so moved by this that they actually asked how they could get more involved in the future. It just goes to show how one crisis can actually make a community stronger. So, with the immediate crisis, the hunger, taken care of, the PATH clinician heads over to the resident's home. The mission's different now. It's not about finding food anymore. It's about understanding the whole story. Why did this person have to call the police for a meal in the first place? What was really going on here? And once they're at the house, the full picture just snaps into focus. It was never just about an empty pantry. The clinician found out this person was deaf and had to rely on lip reading, which is a massive barrier to getting help. But here's the part that's just heartbreaking. They had been offered services for the deaf before, but had to turn them down because they couldn't afford them. That call for food, it was a symptom of deep isolation and poverty. And this right here is the big turning point. The PATH clinician makes a professional call. This isn't just a tough situation. It meets the clinical definition of self-neglect. And that specific term, it's like a key. It's what allows them to move past a one-time fix and unlock a formal, long-term protective response. The goal isn't just a meal anymore. It's sustainable care. So that self-neglect report officially triggers the next level of help. It brings in an agency called AGESPAN, and their entire mission is to step in for vulnerable adults just like this. They do these really deep dive assessments to figure out everything that's needed, and then they coordinate all the different services to create real, long-term safety and stability. So let's just walk through how that works. First, you have that report from the PATH clinician. Then, AGESPAN screens the case and takes it on. After that, they start their detailed assessments to understand every single need. And that, finally, leads to putting consistent, ongoing services into place. You can literally see the safety net being built, piece by piece. And the result of this incredible chain reaction? It's a total transformation. I mean, just think about where we started. A desperate, isolated person calling for a single meal. And where we ended up is with a durable, professional support system. The whole goal shifted from just feeding someone for a day to preventing the next crisis from ever happening. So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, it's not just some idea on a piece of paper. The resident is now getting meals on wheels, so there's always going to be nutritious food. They have an ongoing relationship with their AGESPAN caseworker, and they're getting connected to all sorts of other vital services. This is the real, tangible result of that whole response. Which really just leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? This whole story shows us what it takes. It takes a system where first responders are trained to see the deeper problem. It takes specialized teams who know how to navigate all the bureaucracy. And, critically, it takes a community with enough compassion to step in and fill the gaps. It's just a powerful reminder of how all these formal and informal networks have to be woven together to really work.